Hey guys, Teeple here. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Brawling Iowa build. You can see I got Lee here. Those of you who have followed the channel for a while know that I was stuck with Dewey for quite a while, which lessened my enjoyment of the USN Battleship line. I did get Lee a couple weeks ago. I played, 5-10 games with him playing this build. Obviously I haven't put a lot of points into him yet. He's not currently a priority, but I'll probably get around to boosting him later. I thought I'd show you a couple games though, playing more of a brawling style of Iowa than the typical style you normally see. Right off the bat, you'll notice some of you guys might think my game is glitched, but the ship actually does go forward. So keep that in mind. Some people don't seem to know that. But what I typically like to do on battleships a lot of times will just be to make a turn right off the bat. If you're pointing rearward towards them, that allows you to accelerate. It controls how fast you can go away from the enemy, which will give you more maneuverability and opportunity to kind of bring your guns into position quickly while still maintaining a fine defensive angle. Backing up, you're much slower, obviously. I think the Iowa backs up fairly quickly. I don't tend to drive backwards in this ship as much as a lot of people do. But it's just a different style. Now you'll see I'm kind of broadside of the Baltimore. Baltimore is my #1 priority target in Tier 7 games. I get livid when I'm playing destroyers and people don't shoot these things. We only have one destroyer right now, but the Baltimore is an extremely potent existential threat to destroyers. It can completely mess up what they're trying to do, which is capture objectives or contest them at least. And so I don't care what ship you are in. If you have a chance to shoot at the Baltimore, get rid of it. I mean, it's a very strong ship. Any radar cruiser's strong. You need to get rid of all of them. Especially the more DDs you have, the more important that is. But the Baltimore is particularly strong in terms of having really strong guns, accurate guns, and of course the radar, which is longer lasting but slightly less in terms of range than the Indianapolis. Longer range and duration than Atlanta, just for comparison's sake. But typically what you want to do early on is kind of play further back. Now, Lee's perks do not enhance the aiming any more than Dewey's do, so essentially you're playing the same ship in terms of your accuracy. So long range shots you're going to struggle, but you can't really push in safely until the herd is kind of thinned out a little bit. So just kind of hang back. There we took a somewhat decent shot from the Iowa. I don't think it was a Citadel, but it was probably just a regular, strong AP shot into the side, which is fine. Obviously you don't want to be pointing your broadside in this ship a lot to strong ships like the Amagi, the Iowa, the Vanguard. They can punish you. Just as a note here, I don't know if everyone's heard this, but the Turpits, the Wargaming came out and said that it's defective. Like that you're not supposed to be able to Citadel that thing as easily as you can. But how I would play this ship would be similar to how I'm planning on playing that ship. Longer range first and then move in as the game progresses. A lot of people in my Discord that are either from PC or they're just excited about the German battleships want me to just park nose in and, play it the way they want to play it. But this is how I would play that ship, so you can translate these two games that we'll be looking at tonight into that ship. Now, I am taking a fair amount of shots inside, which isn't great, but I'm trying to angle towards this Amagi and the Iowa at the same time. The Amagi's closer, which means it's going to have easier times hitting its shots and penetrating me, so you always... Ideally, you'd only have one ship that could shoot at you at any time, but often that's not going to be the case. And you can see I am pushing forward fairly aggressively here. We're taking quite a bit of damage. I'm probably a bit more than you'd ideally want to, but Lee's build gives you an extra heal and some other kind of defensive perks which will enhance your longevity, so you can play this ship, using that build with that in mind. But angling's still going to be of prime importance here. Now this York, he keeps kind of poking in and out. You know, we're doing our best to get shots on him, but lightly armored cruisers like that, a lot of people have trouble with those. You know, strong caliber battleship shots will go right through them. You saw we had 3 overpins on that salvo, which I didn't see exactly what it was. It was probably about 4,000 to 5,000 damage for, you know, 3 hits. So that can get frustrating. If I, you know, by the manual, HE's a better shot on a shell to shoot in those situations. I don't really tend to switch my ammo types on these battleships very often unless I feel like I'm going to be in a situation where those shells are going to be used for multiple salvos in a row. So getting closest to Baltimore here, now, you know, you can push in really aggressively to the USN heavy destroyers, obviously, or cruisers. They don't have torpedoes, obviously. Now, this play here, I'm focusing on the Myoko, planning on shooting him just because it's a broadside target. You know, that's probably a mistake. This Baltimore can certainly do some damage to me close range like this and being fully broadside. But it's a function of who's he targeting with his guns. And, you know, you're always, as a battleship player, you always need to be evaluating all the available targets, especially looking for broadsides, and kind of, you know, picking your shots from there. A lot of players will always shoot the closest ship to them no matter what, and that's often not the best course of action. So you definitely want to be evaluating your options every time you have a chance to shoot multiple targets. Now here the York, we again don't get a citadel, but that was a much better, I don't know, it's a 3 overpins there. Maybe I missed the icon pop-up or something, but anyway, I've got a little bit more damage. And do need to pop the heal here. And, you know, when you're this low, if you have damage count available, you want to be putting out single fires, but we've already used that, so that's not available, but we just keep on pushing forward. Now the York is going to be behind this island, and he's going to be wary of me. People are just afraid of Iowas in general, so he's not going to be playing very aggressively, but he is going to be looking to torp me, so I do need to keep that in mind. He just launched that first salvo there, so he could turn around, shoot him for the other side of his ship, or he might just hang back and wait for his reload. So I'm kind of predicting he's just going to hang back and keep hugging that island. If he sticks out too far to turn around, potentially someone on my team could spot him and shoot him, so that's what my thought process is in my head. I'm not massively worried about this guy at the moment, but we are keeping track of them. And at this point, you know, destroyers getting that close are extremely dangerous. I was going to let my guns cycle through if nobody was going to help me. We had secondaries going off on them. Again, with the Lee build, if you have it set up how I have it set up, you're going to have, you know, enhanced secondary capabilities. Not something I would necessarily rely on this ship, but it is nice. You'll notice in certain situations that you'll be, you know, firing those guns that, in, you know, instances where they wouldn't normally be going off yet. Now here we do have a Myoko. He's angled well, but just due to the caliber and the situation here, we're just able to punch through, you know. You can still land shots on that ship from this angle, I guess is my point, so don't hesitate to take the shots. And yeah, I'm getting very low on health. We do have another heal that pops up, so we're going to pop that immediately. Just trying to prolong our life here and do as much damage as possible. I am keeping an eye on this York. I suspect his torps are loaded at this point. He's probably trying to move forward if he can. You know, had I hung back, he could probably just stick his nose out just far enough to get the torps off. He's trying to preserve his life, so he doesn't want to pull too far forward lest my teammates kill him. But I was keeping an eye on that situation. Now I'm assuming he's going to back up and torp me here, so you'll see in a sec. I believe I slow down with that in mind. Yeah, I was fairly broadside to us here now. Why I'm turning here, I guess I don't really know. But he gone. But, you know, had he shot me there or even angled, he probably would have killed me. I think he was thinking how I normally do in battleships, where there's a really low health target and there's really strong HP targets behind them. Typically, I'll shoot at the targets that have a lot of HP just because I can do more damage immediately and then allow my teammates to get the kill on them, you know. Unless you're going for your Kraken mission or whatever. If you get kills, you get kills. I don't think you need to be necessarily focusing on them at all, but you know, as much as some people do. And here the torps that we were talking about earlier, I guess he just backed up and was looking to launch those at me. Probably clipped at least one into the island there. I was hoping to finish him off with that salvo, but he just kind of barely poked out, so some of the shots hit the island. But anyway, you know, it's all in all, that ended up being a pretty good game. I didn't notice the damage. I think it was around 150. We'll see here in a sec. But we did, you know, we got quite a few medals here. Dreadnought, you know, if you're playing kind of a brawler, quote-unquote, Iowa style, that's a good medal to be looking for. And, you know, whatever else we got there. So I thought that was a pretty good game. You know, using Lee, that's kind of what you want to be doing. Now, there's two kind of reasons that you need to be playing forward. I mean, you don't need to do anything. You can still sit at max range, but you're going to be out ranged significantly by people running maximum level sims or high level sims, because I haven't looked at his build for a while, but I think he has at least one perk that's enhancing the range on that ship quite a bit. So I think there's an instance in this video where an Iowa can shoot at me and I have about 2 kilometers, you know, in terms of ground that I would need to make up on him just to return fire. So I wouldn't necessarily push forward, you know, trying to get within range of those Iowas that are going to sit in the back of the map. Sniping, you can just kind of avoid them early on, but, you know, just due to the fact that they're going to be outranging you, you can't just sit back, because they'll be in situations where they can shoot and you can't. Second reason you need to kind of be having an eye towards moving forward with this build is the accuracy. Again, we're basically running George Dewey accuracy, which is not good at all. But these ships start to get quite a bit more accurate as you get into like 10-kilometer range, maybe a little bit further into 12 at the most. But I mean, if you're shooting these long-range 14 km shots or whatever, you'll see on a lot of these early shots you have a lot of dispersion. You can still hit some shots, but you're not going to have the pinpoint accuracy that these high-level sims commanders, which most Iowa players are going to prefer to have in their battleships. So those are a couple considerations. Again, though, you don't want to push in too aggressively. I'm content to just, you'll see we just angled in the rear of the ship like we did last game. And again, that's allowing me to kind of control the pace. The problem is if you're angled towards the enemy and you need to move, well, then you're inherently getting closer to them. And then if you get so close that you need to disengage, then you need to do a turn. And it's a lot less dangerous to do a turn right off the beginning of the game when ships are still loading their initial rounds and the distance is greater, so they're going to be less accurate. You know, once you've pushed in, just because you're angled in towards the enemy and just going towards them quarter speed, full speed, whatever speed it is, you know, you're going to be gaining ground on them, so that makes that turn that's inevitably going to take place, you know, sooner or later more dangerous. So most battleships, that's my opening move if possible. There's a couple maps where it's a little dangerous, but even then I'll usually risk it, and 9 out of 10 times you can complete that turn without having to pay for it. Now we do have a kid here, we do have a biscuit. I mean, I'm inclined to shoot at these targets. You know, you can't be afraid to shoot at destroyers with a battleship, but I am keeping an eye on the map, and if we have broadside targets that are more attractive, you're going to want to take those. Like that shot, I probably would have watched this replay. I would have shot that battleship, or I'm sorry, that destroyer, but you know, I was assuming this eye was going to come around, I think, when I played this, and you know, these are the shots you're looking for when you're looking on your map, and you need to be looking on your map basically once between every reload, whether you're zoomed in or not. Like I was there, you can still be looking at the map. You know, it's the problem people run into when they're just zeroed in on whatever they're shooting at. They're missing opportunities for better shots. They're missing ships getting into position to shoot them in the broadside. They're missing the flow of the game. They're missing everything. So we talk about map awareness a lot, and it's, you know, a skill that needs to be worked on. if you're trying to be good at this game, and it's a skill that I continue to work on, so it's not something that just beginners need to be working on. It's until you get extremely advanced at this game and map awareness is kind of your primary focus, then it's something you need to be continuing to work on. So playing this brawling style of battleship, when do you push in? Well, you see my right hand side has been cleared, so I've been playing fairly long range until the situation occurred where I don't have to be defending my side as much. Now I can just kind of angle in at this Iowa. You'll notice last salvo I turned his gun red, which damaged it. He damage conned it or not, it doesn't matter, but if you hit the same gun again, you're very likely to blast it into smithereens, as we just did there. If you ever see a gray gun icon like that, the gun's been destroyed. So now I need to be worrying about this Iowa much less than I previously did. You know, those front two turrets, you have 3 guns each, so we effectively knocked out 50% of his forward firing power, and he's still a threatening ship. You don't want to play him lightly, but he's not as big of a threat, and it looked to me like he was pointing his gun to the right there anyway, so he wasn't really focused on us due to the fact that we were angling very well against him. I did try a shot against the bow of that ship there just to see if we could overmatch it, but you saw that salvo bounced off there, so I haven't checked this. I don't play the Iowa a lot for various reasons, but I haven't really done a deep dive on which ships it can overmatch, but it doesn't appear to be that it can overmatch Iowas that are steeply angled like that. Scharnhorst, and you'll see me do this. If you're angled towards something and you can fire your front 2 guns in it, a lot of times your back gun will have a side shot towards something, and you can kind of just trade off. So you can shoot the front 2, turn to your side, the back gun will be reloaded, shoot that one, then turn back forward, and those front 2 will be nearly reloaded, and you can just kind of rinse and repeat those. Scharnhorst, though, you're not going to be hitting Citadel's waterline, so those German battleships, what you're going to want to be doing is shooting kind of upper half of the hull, and that'll give you like a nice meaty shot. Yeah, I mean, you can get really strong damage in terms of the numbers, which is the equivalent of Citadel shots shooting up there. I suspect that's going to be what you're going to want to shoot the Scharnhorst or the Tirpitz, kind of upper hull. And by the way, I've played against the Tirpitz a little bit. I think some of the Citadels are coming against shots under the turrets, which there are magazines located there, so it's considered a Citadel shot there too. But I suspect a lot of the Citadels are coming from the waterline. What they explained it as, the ship is sitting too high in the water right now, so shots are actually going under the turtle back, which is supposed to make it much more unlikely to hit waterline Citadels than what we're currently experiencing. So again, they said they're going to fix that in the near future, but in my opinion, if you bought the Tirpitz early and it's a defective ship, and what makes it defective, I mean, its primary playstyle is hindered right now. I mean, there should be some sort of bonus, like commander crate or something to make up for it.
Problem solved, sir.
But, that's neither here nor there, and I don't want to talk too much about the Tirpitz. So anyways, I need to primarily be angled against this Iowa. He's the much bigger threat. Again, keeping an eye on the guns. They're not pointed at me, but I am kind of angled towards that. I think it's the New Orleans in front of me as well. Now, once this Iowa starts turning in, you'll see I'm not shooting waterline anymore. I'm kind of shooting up a little bit more, and that's with the intention of, either hitting through the deck or hitting superstructure. You can get... sorry, this is the King George, was the other ship I was angling at. And looking back at this, I probably would have rather have shot at this. This ship is usually going to be shooting HE, and HE can cause problems for you even if you're angled against it. And, it can knock out guns, knock out modules, cause fires, and it's going to cause damage regardless of your angling. So that was probably a little bit of a mistake in terms of target selection there. But, I'm primarily trying to angle against that IOF. If he hits me in the side, he can easily one-shot me with the amount of health I have here. We had secondaries going into the King George. We had some assistance from the team, so we're able to wrestle him to the ground and eliminate him. Now the Iowa's kind of Again, he doesn't seem to be shooting at me, and that's a function of angling your armor properly at him. And I am backing up right now, so. But we're, you know, here's the range I'm talking about, where you're under 10 km, and we got 2 juicy citadels there. I think it was about a 26k salvo. So, you know, I thought these were both pretty good games in terms of evaluating the flow of the game. When you're playing a brawling battleship, in my opinion, you want to start off long range and then kind of move in gradually as the game evolves. Armor angling, target selection, all these things, I mean, they're important in every game and every ship, but if you're going to be playing a brawling Iowa or any battleship where you're kind of brawling in it, those kind of topics have heightened importance. So I think the rest of this game is us looking for this destroyer, and I'll just kind of trim it there. But I hope you guys did enjoy this one. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. There's a lot of World of Warships coming all the time for you guys. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you. And we'll see y'all later. Alright, peace.